TCU and Michigan. Obviously a crazy season for the Horned Frogs to get to this point, but Michigan is a 7.5-point favorite. Alex, I'll start with you. First off, I'll ask, did anything kind of jump out to you as being weird in terms of total, money line, or spread? And then just tell me, where you're rocking for this game.
No, everything seems about right to me here. It's what you'd expect when you have one of the most explosive offenses in the country, with a more good than great defense in TCU's case, and a really powerful team on both sides of the ball, but one that likes to run the ball. So you're not going to get a total in the 70s for a game like this, but you're also not going to get one of those Iowa or Service Academy totals down in the 30s or 40s. I think that you're going to see, a medium temp if we're talking about how we would cook this steak in the Fiesta Bowl between TCU and Michigan. In the way of a pick, though, I like Michigan in this game, laying 7.5. That's a tough number. Joe and I talked about this on CFB Today. No one likes picking 7.5 on the exact wrong side of the key number. But I just think that as you look at the different paths that this game could take, there are many more paths that involve Michigan winning this thing pretty comfortably than there are paths for TCU to keep it really tight at the end and have a chance to win. Certainly the trench advantage on both sides of the ball is going to be with Michigan in this game. Certainly you would imagine that Michigan is going to be able to run the ball against TCU's defense, even without Blake Corum, their Heisman contending running back. Donovan Edwards has done just fine, his quote-unquote backup, but he's really a starting caliber running back for just about any team in the country. So I think that Michigan just has more ways of baking this cake and winning this game by a touchdown plus, and obviously the plus is important at 7.5. It's dangerous because I think you can look at TCU and see the explosive plays. You could imagine Quentin Johnston doing what he's done all year, the excellent wide receiver who wears number 1 in purple, and causing Michigan some problems. But that's one outcome here. And there are at least 3 or 4 shapes of this game that just favor Michigan, I think, pretty drastically. So I like the Wolverines.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think just in terms of controlling the pace and just being that second half team that they're capable of being, I think the magical run for TCU probably ends this weekend. What about you, Joey? What are you thinking here? How you feeling about the plus 7.5? You maybe gearing a little more towards the money line, maybe looking at that total?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Alex said. Me and Alex have agreed on a lot of games and angles this season. I think Michigan plays a different style in the Big Ten compared to what TCU has seen and played against in the Pac-12, in the Big 12, excuse me. The Big 12, they give up a lot of yards and they give up a lot of points. It is an offensive-based conference. TCU has had a very explosive offense this season, but TCU, while they've played good in the underdog role, they give up a lot of points, they give up a lot of yards, and they find themselves down in games a lot. I know they won against Kansas State in the first matchup of the season, but they were down by a lot. They were down by a lot in the Big 12 championship where they ended up losing to Kansas State and they came back. I do not see them being able to go down early and come back like they have all season. They're not going to be able to run the ball and rack up yards against this Michigan front seven that has been stout the entire season. The one thing that does concern me about TCU from an offensive perspective is Duggan's ability to run the ball and get out of the pocket and make things happen with his legs. I think if TCU is going to keep this game close, that it's going to be because Duggan runs for 80 to 100 yards and he's escaping on third down. But I just don't see how TCU is going to be able to move the ball and create offense. I do think this is going to be a bit of a higher scoring game, though. With that being said, Michigan should be able to run the ball, do what they want to do, stay ahead of the sticks. I have Michigan winning this game by around 11 points. I think I'm rolling with Michigan minus 7.5. I had this at like a 38-27 final, but I'm rolling with Michigan on minus 7.5.
I heard you mention, you kind of, the vibes are kind of pulling you towards the over there, just the fact that there might be a good amount of points. Are you confident enough to take it?
Yeah, I'll probably take it myself for a unit. I do feel more confident in the Michigan spread, as you could see like a 31-17 type game where there's just not a lot of offense and Michigan just kind of dominates in a boring type game. But I also could see a same scenario like the Ohio State game where Michigan just rolled off a bunch of big plays in the second half. They've been a second half team all year. That's why I'm rolling with the full game as opposed to the first half. And I just think this could be a higher scoring game due to the explosive run game from both sides. But so, yeah, I will put a unit on the over as well.